Good morning from Easier Habits. I'm Alec.
And I am Meg.
And we are on a quest to get you a repeatable client acquisition process, right?
Yay.
A way to repeatedly get clients. And so this is exciting. You had a presentation that got you one client confirmed and 4 more inquiries.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for actual client stuff, not just for the 5-day challenge. And so I'm hoping that with that running next week, that will have even more. I need to go through and see how many people have confirmed on that one. But again, lots of interest for that as well. Yeah. So yay!
Awesome. So I think that's more reaction than you've had from previous presentations. And this is a group you have done a daily presentation with for years.
Yes, but there's big differences when you're talking about daily presentation or whatever. So this is on Clubhouse. And I have a room that I don't do daily anymore. I do it, 4 days a week. Just, when it's easier, because sometimes it's hard. And it's 20 minutes, so it's nothing. And it's at 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. Japan time. So that's super early, which means that, it's not particularly well attended. We'll have anywhere between 30 and 50 people, most days. And so, it's a small group and it's the same people over and over again. Whereas the main room, I think we had 450 total, viewers. So I think at the peak it was 375, but over the, some of them come and leave and then whatever. So it's much more, well attended. And then probably some people in there who weren't used to seeing me quite so much. So, yeah.
All right, so, time was one of the variables that you essentially
said?
Yes,
really, it was 7 a.m. Japan time as opposed to 5:30 a.m., so that's a big deal. And also, it's the main room for this particular group, right? So it's the one that meets every single day where everybody, tunes in or whatever, and there's a different, topic. They go over the philosophy and the, things that are going on, events and things, and they have, special speakers. So, being able to be in that one. There's another one that they do every day called GR Hour, which is at lunchtime Japan time, which is way too late for me because it starts at 10 and I'm usually asleep by then. But yeah, so, and that one's not, again, as well attended as, the morning one. So, because people can just wake up and turn it on and listen, kind of like the radio. So that was part of it. There's a whole bunch of other things, though, that I think have gone into making this one particularly more whatever. Because I have spoken before. It's been a while. And most of the time when I've spoken in the past, I've talked about cultural differences, or, my experience with Japan, or, just other things, right, that are not quite so targeted at a business pitch. And so there, with a lot of those, I could have just been this random American person who's talking about those things because I can, or something like that.
It's personal interest rather than content that is specifically targeted towards your audience.
Yes.
And
what my work.
And your business, yeah.
So that was kind of a big part of it. My website link was, at the top the whole time, which was nice. So people could actually go there.
Yeah, you have a website. I'm assuming the inquiries came through your website.
Actually, no. Directly? Most of them came directly. Yeah. So that was interesting. Another thing is that, this year, 2023, they've made, there have been various people coming and talking about the ways to get your message out to a global audience, and talking about VSLs and other ways to do this stuff. And I was saying, look, if you really want to do this, because they've had multiple people talk about it now, you need to do it in some way that has some English or is understandable to an English audience. It doesn't mean you have to speak English, right? But it means you need to figure out some way to do that. And here are the things that you'll want to include. And that everyone can do this with the English level they're at right now. And I can help you with that, but I didn't tell them how, obviously. I showed them what those things were, which was good. But the fact that other people have been talking about it, the fact that the woman who runs this, who's amazing, Yukiko-san, I love her to freaking death, made a point of, doing my full introduction with my background and stuff, which was probably the first time some of them had heard it. And then, like, mentioning, having her mention as well that I have paid services. Yes, of course, I mentioned it too, that I do private coaching, I do group sessions, I'm running this 5-day challenge. Look at my website for, this, the information of the things coming up.
Awesome.
But there's something about having someone else also, and then some people after I did kind of my portion, coming up and talking about basically giving testimonials of how I've helped them, which was cool.
Nice.
So it was a bunch of different things all at once, and replays were on, which is great, so I can share that room that I did. It was interesting because I've always tried to do my rooms or my presentations and stuff in Japanese, but this time I did actually resort to using English for a bit and having Yukiko-san help translate for me, and it made me feel really good actually that, like, she does translate, or she has done translation a lot, as part of her job. And she was even having a hard time translating some of the things that I was saying. I was like, okay, but it's not just me. This is like really tricky English to conceptualize, right? But again, as part of that, she said, she was saying, okay, we were touching on some really good things at the end. Would you be willing to do another room next month?
Nice.
With Miyako Sensei, who is another English speaker and amazing and does so much for the group, so that we're going to kind of tag team it, where I'll be able to speak more English, get into more depth, and get into kind of that stuff that I'm really good at, that I can sort of do in Japanese, but not really, really well, because it's tricky, right? It's not an easy thing. But being able to speak in English was nice for me, because I felt like I was actually being able to express the stuff that I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I have, from all of this, learned, like, okay, because this seems to have been pretty effective as getting, things rolling. Yes, I can, tag team things, and that's great for now. I would like to maybe up my Japanese skill a little bit more, so that I could do rooms like that in Japanese. It's not going to be my top priority, obviously, but it's something to think about, that if this is really useful, then, because I haven't actually, like, hardcore studied Japanese since college. And anything that I've done, all of my speaking ability has come since I graduated. But none of that's been from direct study. It's been from just kind of like listening, looking up words, trying to say things, lots of listening and observation. But I'm like, okay, if I were to actually put some focused effort into that, would I make the gains that would help me feel comfortable with it?
Well, and you could just start by listening to the replay and making a planned presentation.
Yes.
In using some of the Japanese that she helped you with, and practicing that. I mean, that's fairly easy just to do that. But I mean, that's kind of a side thing, right? Your target audience are people who are intermediate to advanced English speaker.
And the thing there that I think is, it's helping them be comfortable enough with me by using Japanese that they're willing to use English.
Yeah.
And so it's that, kind of fine line between, if I talk at them all in English, then there's like, oh no, she's probably going to say stuff that I'm not going to understand, and it's going to be too hard, and there's that wall. So if I can, bring them in with some, decent Japanese, so that they know that we have that to fall back on, but we don't have to use it, because obviously for them, using English for all of this is going to be so much more beneficial for their goals anyways, right? But some of them, they just
dip their toes in the water first.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, so there's a few things there, which is like there's direct stating of what you do and invitation to do something about it, right? And you mentioned there was interest in the 5-day challenge, right? I.e., you have something to invite people to.
Yes.
So that's a big thing. And then the content alignment, right?
Yep.
And so it's great that you're doing another one next month. And, I've heard from other people too that when you find a community that works for you, like, do support them and, like, do stick with them. But I'd be kind of curious to see whether you get the same response from people wanting to be clients each month, or
I'll be
whether it
interested in
tapers
that
off.
too. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's been interesting because since then I've had a couple of new people come to my morning room. Mm-hmm. One of whom yesterday was kind of a VIP person. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, wait, what are you doing in my room? Like, she's, I would say, like, geinojin instead of yumeijin. So there's different levels of, like, fame in mm-hmm. Japan. You've got, like, like super, like A-list actors, like what mm-hmm. you would say in America. And then you've got people who are like either tarento or geinojin, which is kind of, like mid-level famous. Not necessarily B-level actor, because they're not necessarily actors, but kind of around that level. And she's like that. She's also incredibly nice. And she came to my room and really enjoyed it. So I messaged her afterwards mm-hmm. and she's like, oh yeah, I'm actually looking to, improve my English a little bit. And her English is already fabulous. But yes, pronunciation is a thing that most Japanese people can work on. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, hey, so I do this. Like, this is a mm-hmm. thing. So we'll see, but I don't know if she would have come to my room had I not done that on Monday.
Right.
So, things like that, like they're little outcomes.
Know where to find you, and people are finding you in different ways, via direct mm-hmm. messages.
Yep.
Via the 5-day challenge, via your room that you sign on. So yeah, it would be interesting to see whether you can, how many clients you can continue to get. And of course, if you're really good about asking for referrals, yeah. right, a few clients can become a whole lot more. But like, if you're looking at what's repeatable long term, mm-hmm. then it probably involves finding other groups that have similar alignment. Yeah. But then you could take this workshop that you've already developed and practiced.
Oh, yeah.
And just take it, like, look at, hey, what other groups would be interested in this? You could go to groups online where you're like...
That's terrifying, but also a really good idea.
Yeah, and you can go online and just say, like, hey, I just did this presentation for, a group on Clubhouse. Would you guys be, ask the admin, would you guys be interested in this presentation?
Yeah.
Like on reaching a global audience and how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I mean, that, again, like, my gut reaction to that is like... But at the same time, like, I also know, like, oh yeah, that, especially if I could practice it a little bit more and mm-hmm. Listening to Yukiko-san's translations of the stuff that I was saying, yeah, that would be really good. Because there are rooms that don't have overlap, and there's groups on Facebook, mm-hmm. and there's, yep. other things like that.
And so now that you have that, you can offer that,
mm-hmm.
and when you offer that, you can tell them the next time you do a 5-day challenge.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so, and like, also, like, for people who are interested, these are kind of no-brainers. You do the workshop, which is free, mm-hmm. and you invite them to a 5-day challenge, which is free, but, like, you're also letting them know along the way, like, hey, I have these paid one-on-one services, etc. So it gives people a low-risk way to start engaging.
Yeah.
And so, that's fairly straightforward. And then when you have this workshop, right, and you also say you have a recording, another thing we could do is, and this relies on being able to find some kind of social network on which you can reliably target people, mm-hmm. but take that recording and automate it.
Yeah.
And then that's like the ultimate scalable thing, because then you could advertise to a much broader audience as long as you know how to target their demographics versus, having to go individually group to group. But, But that, that's the thing. I think probably what you'd want to do before that is target an upcoming workshop. Ask if you can record it. Use that. Set up the recordings and mm-hmm. whatnot, and do that really well. But yeah, eventually that could also be automated.
Yeah.
And then that would be a repeatable client acquisition model.
It would. Oh my goodness, I could have one of those.
So, all right. Next steps. I mean, make sure you have the recording. I might go back to people who are who you said basically gave you testimonials and ask if you could use that recording as testimonials.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But yeah, take that recording, capture whatever materials that you have, and then find other groups and offer them the same workshop. And we can kind of discuss when you would like to take that workshop into it and make that a recording.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yay! I'm glad you had a successful workshop. And then, like, as you do this more for various groups, if you have another successful workshop, you can kind of start adding it and have a few different ones. But all you need is one, as long as people really like it.
It's true.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us. We'd love to hear more about the things you're trying to market, workshops or challenges or online ads, questions that you have. If you want us to be your guinea pigs and try something, we can try something. But I'd love to hear your comments down below. If this has been helpful, like and subscribe so you can get more of our videos on our quest to find a repeatable client acquisition model. So until next time, make big changes, one small habit at a time.
Bye.